Today I'm sharing some absolutely mouth-watering and delicious dump and go crock pot recipes you don't want to miss. They are all amazing. Now let's get right on into cooking, y'all. So starting out, we're going to make some chicken legs and gravy right on in that crock pot. It doesn't get any easier than this to have your supper ready when you get home. So into a well-sprayed crock pot, we're going to start with 1 cup of water. Then we're going to add in 1 packet of au jus gravy mix. Next, we're going to add in 1 packet of brown gravy mix. Once you get that added, you're going to go ahead and whisk all of that together until you don't see very many lumps anymore. You just want to make sure that they are very well mixed together, just so everything gets equal flavoring. Now, once you have that mixed together, you're going to just put your chicken legs right on in that crock pot. No specific way in here. I'm just trying to get as many as I can on the bottom layer, because I'm using a family pack of chicken legs. So if you don't need that many, you can always cut that down, but the packets are still going to stay the same. We just have 4 people to feed, and I've got 3 men. So that's why I have to have a little extra. So once you have that bottom layer down, we're going to season it with a little bit of pepper. And probably about a half a teaspoon on this layer. And then we're going to come in with some Kinder's buttery garlic and herb right over the top. This is, you season with your heart, but if I had to measure, probably about a half a teaspoon. Then some roasted chicken Kinder's seasoning right over the top. And then next up, we're going to come in with a little bit of paprika. If you don't like paprika, you can just leave it off. But I love the flavor that it gives. And the color's amazing too, y'all. So it's like a 2-for-1. Now we're going to put that second layer of chicken right on the top. And we're going to do the same thing with the seasonings on that as well. Just try not to get as much on the bottom layer because it's already been seasoned. So I kind of put them right there on top. That way I can make sure I get just the seasonings on them as well. Now the next thing that you'll have to do is just pop that lid right on top of it. And this is going to cook on low for about 4 to 6 hours, just depending on how much chicken you did. I did about 5.5 on mine, and this is how they looked. This was absolutely amazing, and I cannot tell you how good this smelled. Oh my, oh my. It was like comfort food, and my mouth was watering, and my entire family loved it. I just made some creamy smashed potatoes and some home canned green beans right there in that pot. And this is what we had for supper this night, and it was so good, y'all. Hey, if you're liking today's video so far, can you do me a favor and hit that like button and show me some love and support that way? And you can also smash that subscribe button and become part of my YouTube family. I'd love to have y'all, and it's absolutely free. And that way, if you set that notification to all, you'll never miss out on another video that I post. I mean, do you really want to miss out on all this deliciousness? Now, moving right along, I created this cheesy Rotel bow tie soup from a different recipe, so I'm going to type up my own down below. But into a sprayed crock pot, I've got 2 pounds of ground beef, and I just dumped that right on in there. And then we're going to add in 1 packet of mild taco seasoning to that. Now, in my ground beef, I just did salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder, about a half a teaspoon each. And then once you have that taco seasoning over top of that, you're going to take 1 can of cream of chicken soup to the mixture. Dump that right on in. Make sure you scrape that can out to get all that goodness. Then you're going to add in 1 can of mild diced Rotel. And then we're going to take 1 quart of chicken bone broth. This was home canned, but if you have home canned, you can use it. If you need to use store-bought, please feel free to use that as well. Then we're just going to give this a good old stir together. Now, I thought I recorded me dumping in 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes, but I guess I forgot because after I added this bow tie pasta, which was 2 cups of bow tie pasta, to the mixture, I added in a can of fire roasted tomatoes as well, just to kind of give it a little bit of a smoky flavor. Oh, it was so good. Once you have that stirred together, I put in a normal size block of the Velveeta cheese. I put half that block in and just kind of cut that into cubes and made sure all that was almost all the way in the liquid. I popped that lid on that crock pot for about 2 hours on high. And I did stir it periodically, but would you just look at this goodness that you got right here? It makes a lot of soup. Now, the original recipe, like I was mentioning, it made like a thicker, but I wanted a soup because it was cold this day, so I just decided to add all the chicken broth to it, and I was very pleased that I did. So I just served it up with some crushed Doritos right over the top. You could use regular tortilla shells if you wanted to, but if you give this one a try, I would love to know what you think of it. It's a really cheesy, smoky pasta, and it's delicious. Now, next up, we're going to make some venison stew. We harvested our own deer this year, so we're using the meat that we got from that. So I took some stew meat from there, and I'm just going to toss it with a little bit of this seasoned flour and right into a sprayed, this is an 8-quart crock pot. It goes. So we're just going to go ahead and kind of spread that out because that flour does kind of make it a little bit sticky, but I wanted to make sure that it was a nice even layer. Then we're going to take 1 packet of the Kinder's stew seasoning. It's Grandpa's beef stew seasoning mix. Dump that right on in there, along with 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And I have found that I love this Centos tomato paste, so you don't have to open up a whole can. You just pop it right back in your fridge, and you're good to go for the next time you need a little bit. Then we're going to add in 1 to 2 cups of beef broth. I did 2 cups. Then we're going to take a large onion, and we're just going to rough chop that and put that right on in. And I took 1 bag of the Yukon Gold potatoes. I think it was a 3-pound bag, and I used 1.5 pounds of them. And I just cut those up into quarters along with some carrots that I peeled and chopped up as well. I think I did 4 large carrots there. And now we're going to put our seasonings in there. Now, of course, I'm going to use my Kinder's buttery garlic and herb along with the all-purpose seasoning, probably about a tablespoon each of those, and then some salt and pepper to taste. Not tablespoon, I meant teaspoon of those seasonings because you have that huge seasoning packet. And then I just put 2 tablespoons of butter right over the top. Pop that lid on my crock pot, and I cook this on low for 8 to 10 hours. The longer it cooks, the better, y'all, because it's just going to break that meat down and make everything get all happy in that crock pot. Now, once the time was up, you have this deliciousness right here. It has a thick, rich gravy that goes to it, and the potatoes and the carrots are cooked perfectly. That meat is tender, and does that just not make your mouth water just looking at that? You cannot go wrong with a big old bowl of beef stew or venison stew, whatever you use. Just know that your tummy is going to be very happy with you. This was amazing. So make sure you click that subscribe button and become part of my YouTube family because I love y'all and I just appreciate y'all's support and taking the time out to watch my videos. Now, moving right along, we're going to make some venison tips and gravy instead of beef tips and gravy. Like I said in the previous clip, we have our meat, so we're going to use it. I'm going to do the same thing with that. I'm just tossing that in that flour, and then I'm just going to kind of break it all apart before we start putting all the yumminess in here. Now, this is a Sammi original recipe, so I'll try to type it out below, but you can follow along with me. To that, 3 pounds of venison. I've got 1 packet of the au jus gravy mix, and then we're going to season that up with some Kinder's buttery garlic and herb, some Badia complete right to the top of that, y'all. Next, we're going to add about 1 to 2 teaspoons of pepper, depending on if you like pepper or not. We love it here. Now we're going to take 1 can of the beef consomme, pour that right over the top, y'all. And then we're going to add in 1 can of French onion soup mix. Now, you could always use the low sodium if you wanted to, so you could cut back on the salt, but we like it just how it is. And we're going to also add 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. And I just put this into dollops. That way it's just not one big section of the soup right on top. So once you have that soup in there, you pop the top on it and cook it on low for 8 to 10 hours until that beef is no longer pink and everything smells so amazing. Once that timer goes off, you'll take that lid off and just stir that all together. Make sure you get that soup and all those other gravies and stuff stirred up very well. Now, all I did to this to serve it was to put it over a bed of rice. You could also serve this over mashed potatoes as well, but I love me some rice and gravy, so that's what I did. So if you like what you see, go ahead and do me a favor and hit that thumbs up because it really does help out my channel tremendously. Now moving right along, we're going to try a very brand new recipe to me, which is balsamic chicken. So into a sprayed crock pot, I'm going to start out with a family pack of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And I did clean those up a little bit, but I'm not worried about getting all of it off because it's going to break down in this crock pot. Once you have your chicken thighs in there, you will drizzle about a tablespoon of olive oil over the top and then season it with some Kinder's buttery garlic and herb, some Badia complete, of course, and you've got to have the onion powder and garlic powder. So those two things are next, about a half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon each of those. Then you're going to come in with 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning, a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and then you're going to take 1 large onion and you're going to rough chop that and pour that right over the top of your chicken. If you have big clumps, go ahead and break them up. That's what I'm doing right there. And now we're going to take some balsamic glaze, probably about a half a cup drizzled right over the top of this because I saved some of it to put over the top of my meal. Then you're going to take 1 large can of stewed tomatoes or San Marzanos. I chose the San Marzanos and I just chopped those up and put them right over the top of that. Pop the lid on your crock pot and this cooks on low for 4 hours. Oh gosh, the smell of this was amazing. So you take that lid off once the time is up and you'll just give that a good stir together first. You can leave your chicken thighs whole like this, or you can kind of chop them up like I'm doing right here. Either way is fine. I just wanted the chicken chopped up a little bit because we're going to serve this over rice and I didn't want no big hunk of chicken to cut through. But either way, like I said, will be fine, however you want to serve it. Now, next time I make it, I'm probably going to drain the tomatoes so there's not so much liquid in there. But to me, it was just like having like a tomato gravy. And I just served it with a little bit of parsley and some extra drizzle of that balsamic glaze. And y'all, this is making my mouth water just sitting here talking about it. Y'all have got to give this one a try. If you've tried something similar, let me know down below. But if not, try this one. Trust me on it. And last but not least, we're going to make some garlic parm chicken and taters. I got this recipe from Luke Brown over at Cooking in the Midwest. Y'all, he is amazing. I make a ton of his recipes, but sometimes I just make them my own too. So we've got 2 pounds of chopped up chicken breast or chunked up. I drizzled a little bit of olive oil on there and we put about a teaspoon each of salt and pepper and garlic powder and onion powder, of course. So a teaspoon each of those. And then also a teaspoon of paprika goes over the top of those. Then we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. If you don't like all these, you can always leave them out. Now, y'all know I love my garlic, so in goes a lot of garlic, about 2 tablespoons. And then I took 1 bag of the little mini potatoes and I just chopped those up and I put the same seasonings over them as well, as y'all can see right there. Then we're going to take 1 bottle of the Sweet Baby Ray's garlic parm sauce, and I used about a half a bottle for this. It doesn't take much, plus I like drizzling some over the top. Once you have the half a bottle poured in there, you put the lid on your crock pot, set this on low for 4 to 6 hours, just depending on if your chicken's frozen or thawed. I did about 5 hours on mine and it cooked it up perfectly. And then you'll just take your spoon, make sure that you get all of this stirred up together because we did not stir it first. I don't like to stir mine. I like to leave it as is until it's done cooking. Then we're going to take some mozzarella cheese. This is a 2-cup bag. I stirred in 1 cup of cheese to the bottom. Why? Mo cheese, mo better, of course. And then the other cup goes right on the top of that. And then you'll pop that lid back on it for a little bit just to let that cheese melt. And then I took the lid off of it to kind of let that liquid thicken up for a little bit as well. Then I just served it up with some shredded parm, some more of that Sweet Baby Ray's sauce, and some parsley right to the top of this. And y'all, this was chef's kiss good. It is amazing. If you like garlic parmesan, definitely give this one a try. But that is it for today's video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. If you are in need of prayer, please let me know down below, and I would be so honored to pray for you all. But until next time, from my heart to yours, God bless. Bye.